Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I'm Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. Today, we have an absolutely massive video as over 25 brand new VR games are releasing this month. Now it doesn't matter what genres you're into because with this lineup, there's something for everyone. From blockbuster AAA style titles like Reach, all the way to a Star Wars mixed reality racing game, and finally a brand new first-person shooter that started off as a Dead Space mod. Now there are of course links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but let's begin going through these games in chronological order, starting with Laser Matrix. Laser Matrix plans to bring a puzzle/reflex drill into mixed reality. Here you'll have to navigate through laser grids, moving obstacles, plus a series of additional challenges as you race for the quickest time. Now this sort of reminds me of those arcade locations where you have the lights on the floor that are green you have to hit and the red ones you need to avoid, and you're basically running around. It feels like it's going to play similar to something like that, so I'm definitely excited for it. But if you're looking for a little bit more of a game, we have Super RC. Prepare to dive into the ultimate remote control car racing simulator. There's a full single player career mode with hours of different races, up to 8-player online races, a custom track creator where the fun never ends, and you can turn your entire room into one giant racing course. And that option also works in mixed reality, which from personal experience is really fun. Now if this week's releases so far are a little too kidsy, it's time to jump into Blackgate. This is like a combination between the horror movie Life and the flat screen title Dead by Daylight. It's an asymmetrical PvP battle where 4 players take on the role of engineers who need to fix their space station, and the 5th player is a rapidly evolving alien creature that wants nothing else but to feed on everything around it. It's a tried and true gameplay mechanic that we've seen before, and it looks like there's enough nuances to set this game apart, as floating around in 0G should put a nice little twist on the overall gameplay. But if you prefer your monsters a little bit more friendly, come check out the action-adventure title My Monsters. It's almost like a cross between Moss and the puzzle title Binary, as it comes with that same style of hand-painted graphics. Now, if the game is capable of delivering the same charm as either of those titles, I have some high overall expectations. It's got the makings of a solid title, with engaging combat, puzzles that involve critical thinking skills, a unique, dreamlike world, and of course that stunning one-of-a-kind art style. So fingers crossed this game delivers and makes its way to the top of the charts just like Moss did. And last up for new releases this week is Prompt Party. This is not just another one of those sandbox hangout style games, as Prompt Party is boasting some truly unique features. There's a built-in replicator that allows you to name an object and have it be instantly created. There's also watch party elements similar to Big Screen, where you can all surf the web together. And of course, you get to customize and build your very own rooms that you can share with the community. Now, I'm not sure this will ever grow to the point that it can challenge the big boys like VR Chat or Rec Room, but it does feel like a light version that incorporates some really cool new aspects. But let's move into some even cooler game update news, starting with the Battlefield style shooter Forefront, going into open beta from October 9th until the 20th. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this upcoming title, it's from Triangle Factory, the same studio that gave us both Hyperdash and Breachers, and now they're back to deliver some huge 32-player first-person shooter PvP battles. But if you prefer to stick to single player, the classic arcade shooter Dick Wilde is finally making its way onto the Meta Quest. In Dick Wilde, you basically sit back and engage in the world's most violent and aggressive form of fishing. There's no rods here, and the only bait on the field is you. Luckily though, there's a huge array of different weapons to help you take out the local wildlife. But if you want to move on from those classic VR games and into something completely different, we have the mixed reality racing game Star Wars Beyond Victory. This is a brand new story-driven experience that has you competing to be the next pod racing legend. For the Star Wars nerds out there like myself, you'll instantly recognize this game's villain, Sebulba. Now, besides the adventure campaign mode, there's also an arcade mode for non-stop action and your own little digital Star Wars sandbox room where you can unlock some collectibles. Now, I think I might have preferred a VR pod racing title, but I'm definitely going to check this one out. Now, our next game I already checked out way back at last year's Gamescom. Memoreum originally started out as a Dead Space VR mod, but then morphed into its own full-fledged title. Now, you can definitely still see and feel the nod to Dead Space, with its iconic monsters that require dismemberment and decapitation, but at the same time, this first-person story-driven shooter stands on its own. Now, both the lighting and sound in this game were absolute standouts, and I've been waiting to jump back in ever since last year. But I understand a game like this is not for everyone, because plenty of people don't enjoy being scared in VR. That is, however, a perfect segue into our next game, Scared of Squares. Now, this appears to be something similar to Pools VR, a walking sim through a surreal, almost eerie type of world. In this case, everything is made up of squares, which might not sound that strange on its own, but once you see it in action, it does give you a little chill up your spine. Now, this definitely isn't my go-to type of game, but I could see this one being pretty cool. But continuing in a similar style world, we have Dreams of Another. This third-person action-adventure exploration title centers around the theme of there is no creation without destruction. Now, again, we're in another surreal, voxel, almost dreamlike world, and it feels like in between exploring and shooting, this game might even get a bit poetic. Now, I'm not sold on it just yet, but I'm definitely intrigued. But to talk about a game that I am sold on, we have Reach coming from End Dreams Evolution. This is the same people that gave us some amazing titles such as Phantom Covert Ops, Synapse, and Fract. Now, Reach plans to be their biggest title yet, with a massive single-player campaign, some fast-paced parkour-style movement, and combat mechanics built from the ground up for virtual reality. This is likely to be one of the biggest and highest budget games we get all year, so I'm absolutely pumped for this one. But our next game, Vex Mage, also caught my attention because it reminds me of an old school Quake style shooter. You know those games where the walk speed is about 15 miles per hour and you make sure to put about 100 bullets into every single thing that moves. Now, there's currently a short single player demo available, but the full game plans to have a story driven campaign plus some online multiplayer co-op. Overall, it looks like a really fun time and aggressively priced at only $9.99. But if you're not into old school style shooters, let's go back to the future with Wanderer Fragments of Fate. Now, the Fragments of Fate remaster of this fantastic time traveling puzzle game previously released for both the Meta Quest and the PlayStation VR 2, and now it's finally time for the Steamvr users to get their hands on this one. Now, if you're somehow not familiar with this title, it is a massive, high-budget, story-driven puzzle experience that acts almost like a series of interconnected escape rooms, plus some additional combat and storytelling. Overall, this should be a top-notch VR experience, as long as it runs better than the MetaQuest version. Now, moving on, we have Trenches VR, a psychological horror title set during World War I that utilizes your microphone as one of the game's major mechanics. Unfortunately for you, enemies will be able to hear you, so you're going to have to make sure to keep those screams internal during any jump scares, and also make sure to hold your breath when things get a little dicey. Now, I'm actually interested in live streaming this for you guys, but that might be impossible with the whole microphone situation, or that could actually make it a lot more fun. So if you guys want me to stream this, let me know down in the comments right now. Now, sticking with the same genre, we have the Amygdala Protocol. What starts off as a missing person investigation quickly turns into you fighting for your life while trapped inside of a mental institution. Now, can you piece the overall storyline together and find out what happened? Or will you find yourself consumed by the same supernatural entity and unnatural science that has seemed to claim so many already? Now, I'm personally getting some Outlast and Fear vibes from this game, which overall would be an awesome combination. And last up in this trio of horror-themed games, PCVR is finally getting Drop Dead the Cabin. This is a co-op survival style game where you need to secure a bunker location until help arrives. It definitely won't be easy though, because more and more waves of increasingly more powerful enemies will keep coming for you in a gameplay mode reminiscent of Call of Duty Zombies. Throughout these waves, you'll unlock more and more resources, which can be used to unlock new equipment or whole new locations. I truly enjoyed the quest version and found the co-op action to not only be fun, but also extremely challenging. Now, there's another excellent game getting ported to a new platform, and that's the action-adventure title Arken Age making its way onto the Meta Quest. This game is the full package. Excellent graphics, a unique storyline, dynamic enemy AI, excellent ranged and melee combat, plus a full weapon upgrade system and customization. So if you're a quest gamer who's frustrated that we're only getting little or free-to-play titles, this is the much more robust style of game that you're looking for. But VR is not just all about shooting and horror. There's much more you can do, and I'm sure plenty of people will enjoy the chill experience that Little Planet plans to bring. Little Planet is a laid-back world builder where you can shape the nature around you and build your ideal little getaway. Now, this plans to go way beyond just trees and houses, as you are, after all, creating your very own little planet. And now back to the guns and violence with the single-player, story-driven shooter Zero Caliber 2 making its way onto PCVR. Now, this was a game that already impressed me when I played an early access build on the Meta Quest. Besides less than amazing graphics and some minor performance issues, I still thought it was extremely impressive, especially for a Quest title. It felt like an excellent old school Call of Duty campaign before that series went off the rails. So I'm definitely pumped to see this game in all its glory as I crank the settings with my RTX 5090. But if you care less about the graphics and more about the overall setting and tone, well then the single player campaign of By Grid Alone might be more your style. This is another title where I tried out the early access, and it actually reminded me a lot of BioShock. So as you can imagine, I'm intrigued to see more on this one, and the early demo I tried did have some serious potential. Now I just have one more game and a few additional updates to go over, and interestingly enough, that last game is Zero Caliber Remastered for the PlayStation VR 2. Now this is not me throwing shade, and I'm just putting the facts out. But while the Meta Quest has had Zero Caliber 2 for a year now, and PC's getting a remastered version of that game, the PlayStation VR 2, for some odd reason, is only getting the original title. Now, I assume it will come one day, and it does make sense that people will want to play the original game before the sequel, but I just wonder why the studio didn't do this much sooner. And last up in today's video, Blade and Sorcery is also getting a major update. This content update features East Asian inspired weapons and armor. So things like the katana blade will finally be an official weapon in Blade and Sorcery. Now there's also a ton of other underlining updates going on, such as moving up to Unity version 6 and upgrading their Thunder Road framework. We could also potentially see some of those PCVR scripted mods make their way to Quest with a new system they're working on. So overall, what we're getting from this update, even better Blade and Sorcery. And that right there was today's video with over 20 games releasing in the month of October. I'm sure we'll get a few more surprises here and there, and just a reminder, dates are always subject to change. But if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. And as always, I will see you guys on next time.